Live. Hi, Facebook. I'm live. Okay. Okay, I'm now live on Facebook. I hope you can hear me. It's a little dark, but I will eventually figure that out. Let me go live on YouTube too and figure that out. Go live. We will get there eventually. And let me go live on here too. Okay, I am live here too. I am having some issues today, so please forgive me. And I'm sorry about this, but eventually I will figure everything out, right? So today I'm talking about steps. I'm talking about steps to protect your vibe. Steps to protect your vibe. And as I always mention when I come on live, big impact. Yes, ma'am. I'm following your footsteps, coach. Um, as I always mention, you can click the link in my bio to join Girl Hold My Hand. It is where I'll be posting all the topics that I come to break down on my lives. Today we will be doing the African American Tarot card, which some people call Haitian hoodoo, you name it, but it's basically all the same. And before I came on, my daughter, picked this card. So I would think that's the card that we should start with. Alright, I will start with that card and see what it says before we go into steps to protect your vibe. And I think that is the king. Is the king card. I'm still learning this particular one. And so we will see what it says. The only issue is for this cards, I can never tell what it is. Give me a second. Let me find the card. Let me find the card. Issue. God of communication and messengers. Travel, messages, rapid decisions, problem solving, opportunities, associations of ideas, sudden events, and love at first sight. That's interesting. Because Eshu is Alegua. Eshu Alegua. That stood out. That really stood out for me. Give me a moment. Let me get a card that. Let me get a deck. Let's see which deck I would do today. I've been wanting to do the hip hop queens. So let's look into the hip hop queens as well today. The hip hop queens. I also have my other card with me. I like this one, but I still haven't really learned it. So steps to protect your vibe. To protect your vibe, to protect yourself, especially if it's something that you have not learned before, if nobody taught you how to protect your vibe and why you have to protect your vibe, right? It can be confusing because you don't know what to do, where to go, how to act. Uh, and the steps, I have only 6 steps to share with you today. So before we start, Let's get the energy going. Steps to protect your vibe. Protect our vibe with sage. Always smudge your environment, right? Good energy. Take out all bad energies that's around you. I have my crystals here. I have my selenite. Oh, this fell. I have my selenite. I have my black tourmaline right here as well. So the first step to protect your vibe is avoid gossip and drama. Let me put the topic here. Steps to protect your vibe. Steps to protect your vibe. Okay, I put it there. The first one is avoid gossip and drama. Now, this is definitely everything I'm going to talk about. If you engage in this, that would be that toxic energy that we throw around a lot, but it's real. It's a real thing. Some of us do have toxic energies, right? And most of us are not aware of it. And having that toxic energy is not a matter of you wanting to be toxic or you trying to be toxic. It could simply be the environment that you were raised in and how you were raised and how people around you behaved and talked about each other and act around each other and act around people, right? That is what gives us the toxic energy. And some of us don't know that we carry. What do you mean? Facebook is driving me crazy. I'm trying to go live everywhere, but I don't even know how to do this. I actually like YouTube. Oh, I hope YouTube can hear me. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, that's fine. So steps to protect your vibe, right? Let me see. Let me know if you can hear me. All right. Okay. Ooh, I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm learning. As I was saying, right? Avoid gossip and drama. And this, it really depends how you were raised. It really and truly depends on the environment that you were raised in and what people were doing, and how people act around each other and with each other, how people talk to each other. Right. I know I was raised in an environment where people gossiped a lot. And it wasn't really called gossip. Sometimes people would say, I am not gossiping, I'm just telling the truth. And then I realized that that's really gossiping most times. It's just that denial that I am not gossiping. But if you look at gossiping, it doesn't matter the religion, it doesn't matter the spirituality, whatever it is, we always talk about um, just not gossiping about people at all, because how you the way that we talk about people is how we feel about ourselves. And this is 100% true, right? Because I saw that in myself too. As I was growing and understanding things, I realized that the only time that I say anything about someone else, it's because I am feeling that way about myself. And like I said, if you're surrounded by people who gossip and then you take on that energy of talking about someone else instead of taking the time to look at yourself, right? There's this saying that when you point a finger, there's three that is pointing right back at you. Now, I didn't understand that, but one thing that I knew even as a child, hello, hi, Auntie. Hi, Auntie Ami. That's interesting that you are here. Um, so what I didn't understand is that I never liked the idea of gossiping. I had no idea why I didn't like gossiping, but I always felt just very weird talking about someone else. And it could be the reason why I am not big on talking on the phone as well. Because if the conversation is not, and I felt this feeling even as a child and just didn't know, if the conversation is not uplifting, that I don't want to talk about things. I don't want to talk about people. I don't want to gossip, right? And then eventually as I was growing, I realized that gossip and drama is a part of toxicity, which I didn't know. And then when the realization came to me, I was like, oh my God, the how I was raised and the way that I was surrounded. Many people around me were gossiping, and I'm just like, why do we have to do that? But then I picked it on, right? I picked that up. Yes, I picked that up, right? And but my biggest realization was that whatever I said about someone else did not have anything to do about the person. It was more about me, right? How I felt about myself. If you go back to some of the videos that I did, I talked about how for years and for years and for a very long time, I did not like myself. I did not like who I was. The only thing that I liked about myself was my skin color, and I didn't even know why. But I didn't like my face. I did not like my smile. People tell me you have to smile more. And I'm like, my smile is terrible. But then I had to realize that there were, this is a very hard thing to say, but I was running away from myself and I was running away from my mother. And if you see me, I am a photocopy of my mother. And I was just telling my daughter that. I told her that one of the reasons why I work hard to make you feel good, to make you love yourself, to be happy about yourself is because you are a light skinned version of me, right? She looks exactly like me. If I was light skinned, I would be her. If she was dark skinned, she would be me. And I know how it felt to not like myself simply because I did not want to be like my mother. She's an amazing woman, right? People tell me, you work so hard. And I'm like, I don't know anything else, right? Because my mother's a hustler. And I love that about her. But everything else was very difficult to take in and to internalize. And just through that, I understood that gossip and drama was not something that I wanted to surround myself with. Even though I can be very honest and say I had toxic behaviors, I had toxic habits, because as children, from zero, in psychology, right? It's talked about how from 0 to 8 years old and even 12 years old, Rich Rising, Maisha, Rich Rising, from 0 to 8 years old and even to 12 years old, going 15, Whatever the child is surrounded with, that's what they absorb. So we have so much in common when it comes to our mother. I know. I know. So when me and you have a push and pull, is because you see me and I see you. There's a lot there. There's a lot in you that's in me, and a lot in me that's in you, right? That's why I always say we are a great team, because we are a reflection. Yeah, right. So the child, they absorb everything that's around them. I have talked about how, as a child, I was constantly beaten up. Like, whooping was, and for absolutely no reason. There was no reason for that. So I was always defensive and chaotic at the same time. And that brings in the drama, right? So if you don't see that, if you don't understand that you've picked up whatever is around you, then you go on in your life spewing hate, spewing drama, not understanding that it's not because something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you, right? What you are doing, you're just taking out whatever you were raised with. For a long time, I always thought everybody had to change, but myself. If they would just do that, I would be better. If they would just act like that, I would be a better person. But then I also had to see that this is how my mother is. Everybody had to change but her. And I internalized that. But I also internalized hating and despising myself. Because even as a child, I said, when I grow up and I have a child, I want to raise that child differently. And maybe that's why I'm here, right? So the first step to protect your vibe is avoid gossip and drama. Many a times, from the people we date, I was that person, right? I was married before. From to the places I go, to the friends that I used to have, I just didn't want to be alone. And so I was attracting all these people who were very negative, and I was always in chaotic and negative environments. So if you feel that way about yourself and the people that you are around with, dating, married to, I went through all of that confusion. There is a reason why. It's not the people, because we can never control them. And that takes us to number two, let go of things you cannot control. I wanted to control everybody and everything. How people talk, how people dress, what people do, what people say. I wanted to be in control because I have never had control of my life. The people that surrounded me and I was raised with, they did not have control of their lives. Yesterday, I mentioned how most men, when they don't have control over themselves and their lives, they take it out on the women that surround them, right? Because we are seen as weak women. And obviously, physically, men are a whole lot more powerful than we are, right? So when I talked about being bitten and being just whooped constantly, that was my uncle. And he didn't have control of himself, he didn't have control of his life. He wanted to be the manly man, but he felt unworthy in himself. And so, because I was the youngest and the smallest in the house, he can't face his older brothers. He can't do that with my mom. He can't do that with my grandmother. But I was a kid. And in our culture, or in most cultures, I've seen that here in America, I've seen it with the Latin community, where a kid having respect and respecting everybody and not having a voice and being meek is top tier, right? Is it's all that we are told. You need to have respect. You need to respect your elders, and I'm not saying that's not good. We need to, right? But I wasn't able to express myself. I wasn't able to communicate what was going on and how I was feeling, right? So he would say that he is disciplining me. Now, me understanding, I know that it wasn't discipline, it was the lack of control, and he wanted to have control. So I grew up wanting to control everybody and being defensive around men and not liking women. Not liking women, why? Because I didn't like myself, because I didn't like who my mother was. Being defensive around men, why? Because this is how I acted around the men who were in my life. So I say that to say, let go of things you cannot control. There's not much we can control in this life. We can control ourselves. Just yesterday, there's this lady on my YouTube, and she probably will see this. She has been one of my, first account followers when I started, about 9 months ago when I started my YouTube. And she, what she doesn't realize is that even though she's trying to control everything, what attracted her to my page is because I only share healing stuff in all my accounts, from Twitter to Threads to Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. The only thing I share is my healing journey, healing resources, healing ideas. And this is what attracted her to my page. But she would still resist. She's still there after 9 months, right? She's still there. But then when I share these things, she will want to fight me because she lost a loved one, which is grief. But she cannot let go of the things she cannot control. We cannot control death, and we are all going to die. Nobody is living here alive, right? And just yesterday, she was going back and forth with me and telling me, you don't effing have the answers. I told her, I don't have the answers. All I have is love. And all I can give you is love. And no matter how you feel and no matter what's going on in your life, you are always loved. We can control our mind. We can control what we think, how we eat, what we eat, the people we surround ourselves with, where we go. We can control ourselves, but we cannot even control our own children because they are human beings and they have a mind of themselves. So, as parents, when we are able to see our children that they are human beings, they have their own mind, right? We have our own world, which is not the same as our child's world. They have a different world. How I know this, I was a child before and now I am a mother, right? We all have different worlds. Moji would always say, we all live in one earth, but we each have different worlds. Like 8 billion people, I don't know, on the earth, on one earth, but there are 8 billion worlds because how I see things, very different from how Sammy would see things, right? We all have our stuff. Number 3, avoid comparing yourself to others. Avoid comparing yourself to others. I didn't know this was a thing. Everything that I talk about, I always say, I had no idea this was so, because I only knew what I was raised with. And for me, how I was raised, everything was competition and comparing yourself. That goes back to number three, let go of things you can't control, right? Avoid comparing yourself. Now, let's look at it this way, and I'm going to tap into my experience again to ask this question. Just understanding that I personally did not know this, and so there are people out there who might not even know that this is going on in them. If you were raised in a way where you are constantly being told, look at that person, look at what they are doing, look at that person, look at what they have, right? Some of the things that I used to hear is that person got married, look at their husband bought them a house and a car and this and this and that. Look at that person husband is from Europe, right? All your friends are going to Europe, why are you not going? Look at this, look at that. Even between me and my younger sister, there was always, we were always being compared. And so I try to bridge that gap with her to make her understand that I am not better than her. Right? There was always, look at your younger sister, you have to show her the way and look at how you are. And then my younger sister grew up, it was, look at your older sister, she is slim, she is educated, she is this, she is that, and you are here, you are not clean, you are dirty, blah blah blah, you gain weight, all of these things my sister heard. So for a long time my younger sister was suicidal, the same way that I was suicidal as well, and didn't even know that I was suicidal. So if you were raised with these things, I always say this, you have to be aware whose voice is speaking in your head. What voice is speaking in your head? And what is that voice that's in your head saying? Because I can assure you, if you don't feel good about yourself, you are not hearing your own voice. The voice you hear is somebody else's voice. If you feel like you have to compete with everybody, I was this person, very competitive. That they then go back to your childhood and look at, how were you raised? Were you always compared with somebody? Right? Were you raised in an environment where people are jealous of each other? People talked about each other. People don't collaborate. It's always, I'm going to outcompete somebody. I'm going to do better than somebody, right? Avoid comparing yourself to others. Like I said, for years I didn't know this. I had to learn to understand what, one, the spirit of jealousy is. Yes, ma'am. What the spirit of jealousy is spiritually, right? From Islam, from Buddhism, from Christianity. That spirit I had to understand first. And then I had to understand why I would feel jealous if I see somebody doing better. Why was I feeling jealous, and not necessarily why are they doing better than me? That's because as a child, I was always compared to everything and everybody that was around me. There's one time where there was this phase in my neighborhood or in the country, in the Gambia, where a lot of women started wearing the hijab, which I have nothing against. I love the hijab. I even said that one day I would do the hijab as well for myself. Humility, yes, 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 right? And, but a cousin of mine did the hijab out of the blue. She started covering her head. And I don't know what happened, but my mom just started saying so many stuff that I can never forget, right? Only because my cousin did the hijab. And she was like, why wouldn't you do it? Look at her. She's a good person, and she is towards the dean and all of that. And I'm like, I don't mind doing that, but I don't want to do it because I just, for the simple fact that I saw somebody do it. That has always been me. I have never wanted to do something only because somebody else did it. But I internalized and absorbed that too. I didn't do the hijab just because my cousin did it, because after a year or so, she took off her hijab because she couldn't continue it. But I absorbed that. And so I didn't know that the hurt and the pain that I was feeling when it came to comparing myself to others, that pain was 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 jealousy, it was hurt, it was not knowing myself, not understanding myself, but it was also the fact that I couldn't understand why people were doing better and I wasn't doing better. Which is why the saying that when you heal yourself, you heal your ancestors is true. When you heal yourself, you heal your ancestors. Your ancestors, you can go as far as you want, or you can go your grandmother, your great grandmother. Steps to protect your vibe. Recap a little bit. Avoid gossip and drama. Let go of things you cannot control. Avoid comparing yourself to others. Nobody can do you better than you can do you. There's also the saying that be yourself because everybody else is taken. So you can, what you can do, or what we can do, or what I can do, nobody can do it better than I am. Doesn't mean that I am better than them, but it's my path. Right? So we as parents, as women, we need to be aware of that and not raise our children that way, because that will hurt our children and hurt us. If we want to raise a healthy generation, we need to be healthy. Number four, funnily, Coach Stormy talked about this today. Keep your faith larger than your fears. Keep your faith larger than your fears. My entire life, my fears were larger than my faith. I had no faith. I didn't have faith in people. I didn't have faith in myself. And the reason I didn't have faith in people is because I did not have faith in the people who raised me. I could not have faith in them. And faith is not religious. There is your faith as, are you Christian, are you Muslim, are you Buddhist, are you Hinduism, are you all these different ways that religion separate us. But your faith, oh, I have it here. It says faith, it does not take things, faith, it does not make things easy. It makes them possible. The belief that we have deep within. What's coming to mind, I was thinking about it last night, is that feeling of not worthy, right? We are always told you have to feel worthy of it. You have to feel that you can do it, right? But do you know how that feeling of unworthiness feel? Are you aware of yourself when you feel unworthy about things? The moment something comes up and you feel like you are not worthy of it, are you aware in your mind that this is happening? Because the feeling of unworthiness can be different for all of us. I think up until yesterday, I began to really understand it, and it sank, right? It eventually clicked and made sense to me last night. I was like, oh, that feeling of unworthiness, for me, it manifests when I say, I don't think they will listen to me. Oh, should I talk to her? Will she say that I am obnoxious? or I am too much. Or one thing that I am trying to do now, I want to, there are certain trainings that I want to take, and most of them cost anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. There was a time in my life I would think, why would they even want to train me? I cannot pay $5,000. Where would I find $5,000? That feeling of not being worthy to be able to pay somebody $5,000 and still understanding that I can always get that money back. Or we want to go to a store. That used to happen to me, wanting to get into these jewelry store or these high-end stores as it is called, right? And just stepping foot in front of the door, I'm thinking, I don't belong. I don't belong here. I can't go inside of here. I can't afford this. This is not for me. I cannot be in here. We feel unworthy of the things that, but why? Right? Which means, one, we don't have faith. Some of us say, I learned this from my own mother, right? Because some of us say, God this, God that, I believe in God, God this. But if you truly believe in God and believe in divine and the Most High, and you are a believer in whatever faith that you are in, that feeling of unworthiness will die because you believe in something larger than yourself. So I grew up very religiously, but without faith, that inner faith, that belief in divine, that knowing of God within myself, right? You can call it God, you can call it Allah, you can call Buddha, the ancestors. I didn't have that, because we can say I believe in God, but what's going on here is the most important thing. How do you see yourself? What do you believe about yourself? What do you say to yourself? Right? Yesterday I was talking about how words, words are spells. People think that some of the things that I like to do, those are spells. Like, this is Yemaya. Oh, you are worshiping whatever. And then the tarot cards. People say, oh, that's demonic. You're making conjuring spells. All these herbal stuff, which I do myself. But that's not the spell. The Bible is a spell. It's full of spells. The Quran is full of spells. When you read a self-development book, or you read a book that elevates your mind, your soul, your heart, transforms you, it's a spell. That's a spell. That's why it's called what? Spelling in English. You spell the words. It's spelling. So the words you speak, the words you think, what people tell you about yourself around you is casting a spell. And that is the most powerful spell that just goes over our heads, right? But then the things that our ancestors used to do as Africans, the African religions, are considered demonic because we think those are spells and those are the sacrifices. No, the very words we say. I always say that I thought, I actually believed that I was going to be a prostitute, a stripper and a prostitute. I can talk about that now because I have healed from it. I believed it because why? It was a spell casted on me by my mother, but she didn't know what she was saying. That's a spell. That's why it's called spelling. So if we go back even to the English language and break it down, you will see the words that we say and the words that we utter. So keep your faith larger than your fears. What are you afraid of? What scares you? Where did that start? Why do you gossip? Why are you surrounded by drama? Why are you in toxic relationships? Why can't you not let go? Why do you feel like you need to control everything? Why do you compare yourself to everything and everyone? How is it called here in America? Keeping up with the Joneses? Is it Joneses? Keeping up with the Joneses, right? And so you are not doing this because something is wrong with you. You do this because you are not aware of the way that you were raised. Number 5, don't do anything that doesn't feel right. Don't do anything that does not feel right. And I'm going to talk about something deep when it comes to that, given my experience, right? Because I want my family to see this, to understand that as children, we have our own minds, right? Don't do anything that doesn't feel right. Most of us, 20 above, 30 above, 40 above, we were raised in a way that, which Coach Stormy even mentioned it today, honor thy mother and honor thy father, your parents and the elders that are around you, right? But if you are a generational curse breaker, then your mind is a whole lot bigger. Your mind is a whole lot larger because now you have awakened. The veil, the veil is off, right? So I was raised in a way that I believed that grown-ups and adults are awakened, and I honored elders. I still do. I honor adults. I still do. But through my experience, especially the last situationship that I was in, believing that it was a relationship with a grown man, that was when I saw that what I believed about grown-ups and about adults is not true. There's a saying that we are all kids in grown-up bodies. Mentally, we are children, but we just have these grown bodies. And I constantly tell my daughter this, right? Because I remember myself going back, don't do anything that doesn't feel right. Me being my mother's mother, she gave birth to me, but I felt like I was mothering her. It never felt right. It never felt good. Me trying to get my father's validation and my father's love, and ended up being the one looking for men's validation and men's love. It never felt right. But I was told this is what I had to do. And so that is what I did. Until the situationship, I was just, it just clicked. It was just, I was like, listen, the way that I am with my parents, that's how I am with everybody. How I act with my mother, that's how I act with women. How I act with my father, that's how I act with men. And that did not feel right. And I had to say, okay, I have to let my family go, which we talked about in Girl Hold My Hand today too, because it felt right to let my family go. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to be here today to talk about this. Right? So don't do anything that doesn't feel right. There's this lady that I used to follow. She's coming back to my mind now. I think her name is Amy. She is also a tarot reader. I followed her for years, and I learned this from her because I didn't know that I was a spendaholic, especially when I'm depressed, right? That's why most people, when they're depressed, they just lose all their money because you are unconsciously just buying. Retail therapy is not true. You are unconsciously just buying stuff to make you feel better. You're trying to buy that feeling, and then you buy the stuff, come home, after 30 seconds, you feel worse, or you want to take it back or change it, and you realize that it was an impulse buy. This is what capitalism is based on, impulse buy. There's a psychology in sales, there's a psychology in the clients, right? Psychology of making people buy, like what do we say, that people buy through what, emotional, whatever it is, right? But this lady said, only buy things that feed your soul. Only buy things that feed your soul. So don't do anything that doesn't feel right. Don't buy anything that doesn't feel right. What I'm doing feels good, because I always say this. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. You are listening to me. You can see me. I might be able to see your picture, and it could be a dialogue, right? You can send a message. I can read it, but I'm talking to myself. So me saying this, it might help you, but I'm healing myself by saying this, by putting it out there, for the simple fact that it's positive energy, and it could heal someone, and it could help someone. In return, it's healing me as well. So even though we might be having a monologue, it's also a dialogue, because I'm talking to myself, right? I'm sorry. I'll pause this. My alarm. Okay, it's 12 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock, right? So I'm nearly done with that. But don't do anything that doesn't feel good. Don't do anything that doesn't feed your soul. Always feed your soul. If you grew up with adverse childhood experiences, if you don't know what that is, please look it up. Adverse childhood experiences. In psychology, most times it's called ACEs, 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 right? Childhood trauma. Most people have PTSD, not really because they were in the military, they have their own, but post-traumatic stress. And there's another one called post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? Because most of us, we are from families that inherited that slave syndrome, and we still act the same way, unknowingly and unconsciously. The two are different, but somebody can have both. I did. I had post-traumatic stress syndrome from the way that I was raised. I also had post-traumatic slave syndrome from the way that I was raised. Post-traumatic slave, listen to Dr. Joy DeGraw. And when it comes to the ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, Nadine Brooks, on YouTube, you can find her anywhere. She talks about this a lot. That was her study in school, because she also had that. Number 6, stay away from people who drain your energy. Unfortunately, most times the people that drain our energy are our own family, our own people. All my trauma came from my own people, my own family. I have no one else to blame. Stay away from people who drain your energy. Some people call it energy vampires, right? And I am not blaming anybody because hurt people, that's true. Hurt people. I personally have hurt so many people, so many men, so many women. There was a time years ago I went back to a lot of people who helped me, and I sent them an email to apologize and to tell them that one of my major issues was spiritual. I wasn't spiritually aware. You can be so religious and still be spiritually dead. You can go to church, you can go to the mosque, you can live in the monastery. All three I have done. I've lived in a Zen monastery, and met monks who were not awakened and aware of themselves spiritually. I've been around church folks and been to church, and I was like, oh my God. The mosque, the same thing. So you can be so religious, right? There's this other lady who says you can be drunk off of the Jesus juice. It could be the Mohammed juice, whatever it is, but you are not spiritually aware. You are not spiritually strong, because spirituality is very different from being religion. Spirituality is seeing yourself as God. It's not like saying, oh, I am God, I was sent by God. We are all God, right? Because to have a relationship with God is having a relationship with yourself, Allah, the ancestors. So when you are aware of that, that helps you stay away from people who drain your energy. And how do you know somebody is draining your energy? Of course, first of all, it's learning learning to tap into your intuition, and that also involves developing your intuitiveness, especially if you're from a traumatic background. If your entire childhood was trauma and you have developed coping mechanisms, that means that one, you cannot hear your voice, and two, you are not in tune with your intuition. But how do you know that somebody is draining your energy? How does that person make you feel when you are around them? Or if you're not aware of it, the person, the environment, if you're not aware of it at that time, when you leave, do you feel like your cup has been filled by being around that person, talking to that person, being in that environment? Or do you just feel like the life was sucked out of you? Do you just feel tired and exhausted, like, oh my God, that was hard, that was painful? When you learn to listen to yourself, you know, just from the beginning, you can pick up somebody's energy, which is why I talk a lot about your aura and what you exude. Do you exude desperation? And sometimes we don't even know that we are exuding desperation, that the air around us is a desperate, needy air, right? So when you are around that person, do you want them to keep talking? When you are in an environment, do you just want to stay there and not want to leave? Because, like I said, don't do anything that doesn't feel right, the environment, the person, it feeds your soul. They feed your soul. They make you think bigger. They make you feel better. You just want to bask in them. Everything that I do now, that's how it makes me feel. Doing these lives, which has taken me years to even do this. All this information I knew. I started my spiritual journey 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And I am just now coming out and talking about this, right? Because the people around me were draining my energy and I felt crazy, right? But me being in Girl Hold My Hand, me listening to Coach Stormy, even the other environment that I am in, which is the digital campus, the real world, me being in there, I feel uplifted. I feel better. Right? I feel every day I feel rejuvenated. But when I was in the situationship, every single day I was drained, but I didn't know why I was drained. Because it felt like home. The toxicity felt like home. I always say that toxicity is exciting. I love toxicity. But it drains your soul. So I was around these people. I was around a lot of people and I still felt lonely, which is a feeling that I had as a child. I was always drained and tired and exhausted. But I thought I just couldn't keep up, right? But then that's also a feeling that I had as a child. I heard something once after that situationship. I didn't know situationship was a thing until I got into a situationship and nearly lost my life, really, because after that I was like suicidal for years. But I heard this. Somebody said that be careful. Let me light my sage because I don't want to stay with that energy as I say it. Right, be careful about people, places, and things that feel like home when home was not a safe place for you. Be careful, I'm going to say it slowly. Be careful, I promise you I'm not crying. Be careful about people, places, and things that make you feel at home when home was not a slave, when home was not a safe place for you. So that environment that I was in, that situationship that I was in, it felt completely like home. Like I could breathe. I was relieved. Like I can relieve that experience. I felt so at home around these people. But I was elevated mentally, spiritually, and then when I got around them, my vibration was low. But that felt like home because growing up, that was my home, low vibration. And so it was after that that I realized, oh my God, I have grown mentally. I have grown so much, but I did not know that I have grown. And with all honesty, the reason that I didn't know that I have grown was that the only person that I would generally talk to, the only person that I was very close to was my mother. But then mentally and spiritually, she wasn't growing. right? So because she was my mother, she close to me, she gave birth to me, and I felt I could not talk to her. I always thought if I couldn't talk to my own mother and I couldn't explain things to my own mother, something was wrong with me. And so I would grow mentally, spiritually, and then I would talk to her, and then my vibration would go all the way down. And that always felt like home, and that is the toxicity. For some of us, if you have adverse childhood experiences, if you come from a traumatizing environment, drama, chaos, toxicity is home, and it will take work to get out of that. It's hard, but it's easy, right? Because if you say I'm ready to change that, and your willingness to learn is 100%, because it's all here. It's all mental. It's all how we think about ourselves and how we see ourselves, but also the things that we were told growing up. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there. I'm going to recap. Steps to protect your vibe is only six, but this six can revolutionize your life. It can greatly change your life if you just let it sink in, right? Steps to protect your vibe. Number one, avoid gossip and drama. I don't know if my aunt is still here, but she knows I have always hated gossip and drama. And if you don't like it, but you still do it, it's not you. It's how you were raised. But it is still your responsibility to change that. Let go of things you can't control. We have no control, but we don't like to hear that. We don't have control over absolutely nothing. Not the weather, not our children, not our husband, not our boyfriend. But when you can control yourself, you can control the energy around you, and you can control the people around you to a certain extent, but you still don't have control. Avoid comparing yourself to others. Only you can do you. You can do you. Nobody can do you better than you can do you. I heard that from Lisa Nichols. She would always say, nobody can do you better than you can do you. Avoid comparing yourself. I'm here. I know, very proud of you. I will have Zainabu follow you. Yes, yes, been a long time. She's probably a big girl now. Wow. I used to hold her in my hands and play around. Keep your faith larger than your fears. All right? Not keep your religion, but keep your faith. To truly believe, like really believe, that there's a higher power. Because there is. And that higher power doesn't live in a mosque, doesn't live in the church. And, you know, I believe in my ancestors, right? I believe in my ancestors. Um, my Auntie Ami, I have Papa Tamsir's picture. And for me, being in meditation with Papa Tamsir's picture and my grandmother, Ajfatu Jain, that is more soothing to my soul than even going to the mosque. Because me believing in my ancestors is what brought their images to me. I had to ask Buri for Papa Tamsir's picture, and that has helped me break generational curses, because I would look at their picture and I would sit down and just wonder about their feelings and ask questions and talk to them through their pictures like I used to talk to them when I was a kid. And believe it or not, you can try it for yourself, right? With your own ancestors. I would get answers of what I needed to do to change my life. Something that I never had going to the mosque. So your faith is not your religion, and you are God. Allah is in you, your ancestors are in you, Jesus is in you, Buddha is in you. That's what changed my life when I lived in the Zen monastery. And they said that, and they were teaching us that everybody thinks that Buddhists and monks, they worship stones and they are worshiping Buddha, but they don't worship Buddha. What they do is relating themselves to Buddha. So their aim and their highest, what is it called? Their highest purpose is to be like Buddha, is to be Buddha-like, which is why in the monasteries and Zen centers and meditation places, they don't teach you to sit down and meditate. They teach you to live a meditative life. So your life itself has to be meditative. Don't do anything that doesn't feel right. Feed your soul. Stay away from people who drain your energy. I sell the things I sell because they brought me back to life. I take Nutriburs to help my appetite. And then I tell people, I have chronic depression. I can be depressed for years. 2 years in a row. It has happened to me. And then I will not eat at all, or I would eat everything and anything in sight, right? So to close, I'm going to pick a card. I love doing this. I enjoy this now a lot. And this is the Hip Hop Queens. The Hip Hop Queens. I'm going to pick a card from that and then read it out as our closing. Is a beautiful box. See that? The Hip Hop Queens. On the card, you see the ladies. There's Cardi B, and there is who else? Lil Kim. Well, old Lil Kim, not this Lil Kim. Let me do this. Get the energy. I haven't used this card. I have had this Oracle decks for a long time. I have about 7 or 8. But because people say, oh, it's demonic, you should not do this because you're Muslim. You should not do this because you're Christian. You're calling the demons. I didn't want to do it. And then I realized that, well, one lady, she is Jamaican Canadian, and she does retreats, women's retreats to Jamaica. And she does oracle cards decks as well. And she would teach it. And she said that the card is nothing. It's just like playing cards, like the cards that you buy from the store to play at home. That's what these are. The energy of the person who is interpreting the cards, that's the energy that's important. If that energy is demonic, the cards will feel demonic. If that energy is aware, you will relate to what the person is saying. And I was like, oh, I have never heard that. So let's see what the hip hop queens are going to say. Ooh, over here I have Dabrad, rebellion. I was a rebel my entire life. I'm not anymore. I'm tired of that. So let's see which card comes out. Which hip hop queen and what they have for us. Well, that one came out again. Dabra, Rebellion. Let's do it one more time. See who comes out. What message? What we need to know for today? What change has to happen? What transformation? Rebellion. Rebellion. Lato. Instincts. Lato. I don't know Lato. Instincts. Let's read that one. instinct. That can be intuition, just like I said. This one doesn't have contents. Okay, I'm going to find Lato and then read for you what Lato says. Or should I read Rebellion first? Because that came out twice. I will do that. I will read Rebellion. And then JKL. Oh, Lato's here. Instincts. Yes. Let's start with uh, Dabrat. Activity, animation, dissent, DISENT, rule breaking in breaks. Shades and oversized coats. Dabrat changed hip hop by being the first female rap soloist to go platinum with her debut album, Funk the Fade, and she did it playing by her own rules. Whether rapping about smoking weed or having a moral of her own image airbrushed on her body, Dabrat was never one to yield to the cookie-cutter logic forcing female rappers to fit into a box. Interestingly, my Twitter, the bio, I said, creating a home for those who never felt at home. We don't think in the box or outside of the box. Burn the damn box. And I heard that from a very wise African leader. Animated and full of energy, she embodied unrestricted originality and won big by sticking to that credo. Toss your rule book, or at least hide it for now. You've been living with the safety on. You've been living with the safety on for too long. And pull, let's read it again. Toss your rule book, or at least hide it for now. You've been living with the safety on for too long. And a pool of Dabrat's cards suggests it's time to bend those rules a bit and take more risks. We can get consumed by the what ifs when we are about to do something that may seem drastic in the eyes of the people around us. Oh well, let them write your behavior off as another tantrum. But this time, taking your own lead will pay off. Be a brat proudly. So to close, right, I'll read Lato, instincts, guidelines, game plan, groundwork. Lato, oh, meaning mulatto, may have gone viral with her single, Bitch from the South. I don't know that song. But sticking to her guns in a male dominated society made her a true success story. The Atlanta native emerged at a time when her hometown hadn't seen a female rap star in ages and became the first female solo artist from ATL to go gold. She started as a teenager in the local rap scene, using her first capital gains to open businesses before blowing up on the national stage. While much of the world tries to dull women's light, Lato's not having that, trusting her instincts to be her guide, is the big Lato way. You may be used to consulting your group of friends or trusted parent, confidant, or romantic partner about the ongoing events of your life. But right now, external input is affecting your course of action. Be like Lato. and follow your own lead when it comes to important decisions regarding your path. While counsel feels helpful, while counsel feels helpful, it can sometimes do more harm than good, especially if your advisors are putting their best interests first and not yours. There is no greater voice in your head than your own, and it's okay to own that. Sometimes you can win the lotto without even buying a ticket. That is it from me today, and I will see you next time. I'm trying to turn this off here. I don't know how to end it. Is YouTube still on? I don't know how to stop this. Oh, end the live.